and to your way. I say yes, Lord. But more times than not, we hear, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. What's in it for me? As Christians, we are called to be better than that. As Christians, we are called to be stronger than that. As Christians, we are called to be more than that. And instead of raising ourselves up to a higher level, we don't recognize that every time we get into a situation where there's a maybe, I don't know, I have to check and see, we get lower and lower. Instead of raising up, we go down. Instead of becoming 10 foot tall, we sink to the size of a midget who's playing kickball against the curb. That's how small we get. Absolutely, that's a military term, if you don't know that. But that's where we get when we constantly say no to the Lord. We decrease in value. We decrease in size. We decrease in his eyes. Because what we're saying to the Lord is, you can't depend upon me. That's what we're saying. You can't depend upon me. Because every time you've asked me to do something, I'm giving you the old okie doke like that. And we have got to be better than that. Because we've got to learn how to give of ourselves. We're called to be mentors to each and every person here. We who are in ministry are called to mentor not just each other, to get each other to a higher level of the Lord, but we're called to mentor you. You, in turn, are called to go out of these doors and go into a world that is looking for guidance and mentor them. And every spirit, every soul, every mind, every body that you touch, they are to go out and do the same thing. But if it doesn't start here, it's not going to happen out there. It's not going to happen out there. See, if you were expecting a sermon where you're going to run around the church, that's not what I do. I'm not going to stop you, though. That's not what I do. Because I got to give you the truth. We're looking at a world that is dying outside those doors. We're looking at people constantly on the news, on the radio, on the internet, who are going through things. And they're looking for someone, somewhere, to step up and say, I will lead you and guide you. And as they outstretch their hand, they don't get a hand coming back into theirs to pull them through. It's okay being righteous in these four walls. But outside of these four walls, what are you doing? Outside of these four walls, where is your Christianity? Where is your faith? Where is your deliverance? Where is everything that God placed inside of you to go out and do a work? There are some in here who I applaud all the time because they're always busy. They're always keeping their hands flowing. But there are many more of us that don't. And we've got to be about it, or we're going to watch this whole thing collapse. Mentoring is so important. Understand, the word mentoring is nowhere in the Bible. But there are examples all through the Bible of someone mentoring someone else because they felt it was that important. And we had to get into the job, into the spirit of taking somebody by the hand and bringing them along to get them straight. Because our young men and women out there are dying. And I don't care what race, color, or creed you are. No one is escaping this. We have to get together as a group of believers and set things right. We're constantly praying that the Lord do it, and the Lord is looking at us and saying, wait a minute, I think Jesus said, I give you power over all things. I give you the power to cast out demons. I give you power over sickness and disease. I give you power. But we don't exercise that power. But Satan is busy exercising what little power he's got. And he's making you think that the power you have is less than what he's got. Understand this. Satan doesn't have anything he can give you that will cause you to fall. No power. But we, who are his, have all power. So we need to exercise this. Because we exercise a lot of things. We exercise our jaw talking about people. We exercise our heart disliking people. We exercise our minds formulating things about someone that are not true. We exercise a lot of things in our life, but our faith is as weak as a feather. Because we don't get busy exercising that thing we need to exercise to make things better in this world. There's a call for mentorship. There's a call for us to take someone by the hand and lead them out of the darkness in their life and into the glowing areas of love of the Lord. That's what we're called to do. Because mentoring is so important that if you actually open your Bible and start looking at all of the people who we elevate, who we claim to be up there on a different plane, understand that all of them got mentored by somebody else. All of them got mentored by somebody else. When you look at Moses, and we lift up Moses and elevate him, understand Moses was mentored by Jethro, his father-in-law, a Midianite. That's how important it is. Because we have to do something to get people to another level. We have to do something to make their life easier, to change their situations. We cannot sit back and say, guess what, God's got you, and put it on the shoulders of the Lord. When he said, no, you should have them. You should have them. You should have them. You should have them. You should call that brother up and see how he's doing. You should call that sister up and say, hey, listen, let's go out for a while. Let's talk. You should be doing this and not trying to put it on the shoulders of the Lord, because he said that my grace I've given to you. So therefore, since I've given you grace, you show some grace to someone else. Eli mentored Samuel. These are people who we read of in the Word, and we hold them in high regard. But somebody had to mentor Samuel and raise him up in a certain way to make sure that he was right and correct before the Lord. When was the last time you took someone by the hand and said, look, I got you? And it's not a question I expect you to answer, but it's a question I expect you to answer to yourselves. When was the last time you took a hand and said, I got you? I see what you're going through. I got you. Because it's that important. Because if you don't, that person will become lost, and then you'll sit back and lament and say, I should have done something. I could have done something. Why didn't I do something? I had the opportunity to do something. But nothing was done. And understand, because Eli mentored Samuel, Samuel mentored David. Great king of Israel. But David needed someone to instruct him. David needed someone to try to teach him between right and wrong. This is not to say that David was perfect, because we all should know the story of David. David wasn't all of that correct. David had some mishaps. David had some kinky ideas watching somebody take a bath on the roof. But David never forgot God. And in those years when David started getting right, the teaching of Samuel came back to him. The word said, raise a child up in the way they should go, and when they get old, they shall not depart. Whatever was placed into David by Samuel rose up until time, and David became the king that we know him to be. We forget about his mess-ups. We forget about all those things David did that weren't right. When we read our Psalms, when we read all of those things, we see David was an upstanding man before God's eyes. But someone had to implant something in David to get David to recognize that this is where you need to be. This is where you need to be. And David mentored his son, who was called the wisest king that ever lived. David taught his son, Solomon. Solomon was smart enough to say, Lord, I need wisdom to manage these people. Because Solomon was not so egotistical to say, I got it together and I can handle this. And because Solomon went before the Lord and asked this prayer, the Lord said, I'm going to bless you with stuff you didn't even ask for. Because you asked for the right thing. And Solomon then mentored the Queen of Sheba, who took all the knowledge and wisdom that Solomon had implanted into her and took it back to her country to rule. This is what we are called to do, people. So the question is, why aren't we doing it? Because it takes more than you're willing to give. See, mentoring someone requires a lot from you. Mentoring someone requires you give more of yourself than you've ever given before. Because you're going to be active, proactive, interactive in someone else's life. That calls for you to be there to answer the phone when it rings, day or night. It calls for you to go out and seek them when they're lost. We all know that heaven rejoices over the one that's been found. But how many of us are seeking? See, I understand why the room is quiet. Because when truth is spoken, people do get quiet. My bishop used to say, if I'm walking down your street, don't shut the door. Open it wide. And let me come in. Because we are called to do these things. Two of my favorite people in the world, Elijah and Elisha. Elijah was a prophet so powerful that people used to sit back in awe of him. And Elisha asked, can I follow you? And Elijah told Elisha, no. But Elisha followed him anyway. Everywhere he went. He couldn't shake him. It was like gum on his, well, he didn't have shoes, gum on his sandals. Every time he turned around, there's Elisha, stuck there. Because Elijah was determined to get everything Elijah had. To the point where Elijah told Elisha, if you're with me, when I'm carried up, I will grant you your request. And when Elisha got carried up, he dropped his mantle to the ground. And when he dropped his mantle to the ground, Elisha picked it up. And what was the first thing Elisha did? He smote some water to show that he was determined. He asked for a double portion. When I got ordained as a minister, I asked God for a quadruple portion of what he gave Elijah. Because I need to be that person, serving him, delivering the word, chasing out all things that may come against the kingdom of heaven. But where are we right now? And when I say we, I include everybody in the house and me. Where are we right now? Because if we're not doing these things, we're failing. We're failing. Daniel, one of the greatest prophets in the book, mentored Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was going through some things, but it was Daniel who took the king by the hand and said, you know what? I got you. That dream that you had, this is what it means. We've got to get into the habit of waking ourselves up, looking at what needs to be done, and then going to do it. It's not about putting it on somebody else's shoulders and saying, this person will do it, or that person will do it. Why not you? Why not you? Priscilla and Aquila mentored Apollo. These are names we know in the Word. But somebody had to take the time, spend time with them to get them to where they needed to be. Paul, who wrote most of the New Testament, had to sit under someone who was lesser than him to get what he needed to know to write everything he wrote. Somebody had to take the time. And that person said to the Lord, I don't know. You know his reputation. But he did it anyway. And Paul sat under that man and learned. Are we taking the time to do this? See, because in order to do this, that calls for you to do something that is truly excruciating. And it's called pick up your cross. Picking up your cross just doesn't mean trying to live a holy life. But picking up your cross means that everything that Jesus spoke, everything that Jesus did, everything that Jesus called us to do, we are to do. Picking up our cross is not just, oh, I got these burdens I'm bearing, but God be the glory. No, it's not just your burdens. It's the burdens of the entire world that you have to put on your back to go take to the cross with you. So that when you pick up your cross, it's not just your stuff that's on the cross. It's everybody's stuff that's on the cross who has been placed in your path to worship, to minister to. That's what picking up your cross means. Denying yourself for the betterment of someone else. That's picking up your cross. And every time you go out and you minister to someone, you touch them. You change their life. You give them something that they did not have before. In your actions, you are glorifying God. You're lifting him up. You're raising him up to another level in that person. That's what you're doing. It's not about just bringing people off the street into the house to hear a word. Because understand this, that when they leave this house, they're going back out there to where they were. If you're going into the hood to bring somebody to church, understand, when they leave here, they're going back to the hood. What have you put in them? What are you doing once they get back out into the hood that's going to assure them that, guess what? I'm not just here on Sundays for you. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all through Saturday. I'm here for you. This is what we're called to do. This is what we're supposed to do. That's picking up your cross. That's what that's all about. but we don't follow it that way. There's a story in the Word, in Mark, I believe, where Jesus cursed a fig tree. And the disciples asked Jesus, they were surprised when they came back past that tree and saw it dried up. Understand that Jesus expected to find something and found nothing. The Bible says as he approached it from afar off, he could see the leaves on the tree. The leaves on the tree means that it was being watered, it was being nourished, it was planted in good field, on good ground. But as he drew closer, he saw that there were no figs on that tree. And he cursed that tree. Understand how that relates to you, how that relates to us. That Jesus is watching us from afar off. And he's seeing leaves on our tree. But as he draws closer to us, he sees no fruit. He sees nothing on us that shows we've been productive in what we have been planted in. And he cursed that tree, and that tree dried up. Where's your fruit this morning? Where are your figs? Because you've been planted in good soil. We all have been. That's why we're here. But where is the fruit that's supposed to be produced? See, because Jesus is still watching afar off. But understand, he's not going to be far off all the time. As he draws closer and closer, he's expecting to see something from us. He's expecting to see something from all of us. The word said that I'm the vine and you're the branches. Where's your fruit? Where's your fruit? See, I don't expect to get a lot of amens because I know I'm talking right. I don't expect to hear a lot of noise because I know I'm talking right. But this is what we're called to do. Turn quickly to John 15, 5 to 8. Turn quickly. I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abideth in me and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth, cast out as a branch, and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. But if you abide in me, and my word abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so you shall be my disciples. These are not my words. These are the words of Christ Almighty, saying that if you abide in me and I abide in you, you will bear much fruit. But abiding in God is not just coming into this house. Abiding in God is not just walking through those doors. Abiding in God is not just getting up and clapping your hands when the singers are singing. Abiding in God means that you are going to be my domicile. You are going to be my home. You are going to be where I rest my head. You are going to be everything to me. You are going to be all that I need, all that I want. When I call upon your name, I know you'll answer. Psalm 91 says, he who abideth in the most, he who, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. Because it's been a working week, I'll tell you that. But I shall not be defeated, not by a long shot. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Understand that dwell means to live. If I live under the shadow of the Almighty, that means I have protection. That means I am where I need to be. That means I am all that I need to be in him. Because he's not going to allow me to abide in him if I'm not walking right, if I'm not talking right, if I'm not speaking right, if I'm not doing right. He who dwells in the secret secret place. Not the open place where the world can get at you, but in a secret place. In a secret place. A secret means nobody knows about it. So when I step out of that secret place and the world sees me, when the world sees you, they can't understand or comprehend why you are like you are, because you spend time with the Lord. You spend time with the Most High. And that is what we're called to do. If we're going to do this thing right, we have got to get to the point where we're spending time with God. It ain't about just coming in here, but it's about what you do out there. It's about what you do out there. Because it's easy to be righteous in here. Oh, it's so easy to be righteous in the house of the Lord. Because if you look to your left and you look to your right, you look behind you, you don't know what anybody's doing outside these doors. So it's easy to be righteous in here. But being righteous out there, where people know you, where they grew up with you, where you hang out, where you live, everything about you is known. And when they know everything about you, guess what? They ain't coming in here with you. Oh, I'm telling the truth. I know I'm telling the truth. When they know everything about you out there, and you're coming here, they're sitting there going, he think he got it. She thinks she got it. Understand that we are called to be much better than that. We are called to be more than that. We are called to bear much fruit. The Bible didn't say a little bit of fruit. It didn't say a couple of oranges, a couple of apples. Because I'm bringing it down to that so you can understand it a little better. He didn't say just go get one or two. He says much fruit. Much fruit. I spend my Saturdays, and I'm not patting myself on the back, so I don't want anybody to think that. And I'm not bragging on myself, because everybody who knows me knows I don't do that. But for the last 16 years, from September to May, every Saturday from 8:30 to 2 p.m., I spend with about 240 kids. And I coach bowling, because it's a scholarship league. So I help kids earn money because we teach them how to bowl. But there are times when the Lord opens a door while I'm there that I get a chance to minister to someone. I get a chance to minister to a child. I get a chance to minister to a parent. I get a chance to minister to a family who are going through some things. And the Lord says, I need you to speak to them. I need you to give them a word. I need you to give them some guidance. I need you to be what I'm called to be at this moment. I need you to give back unto them. Because there are so many children that are going through some things that you don't recognize is because you're not involved with them. And we got to get involved. We've got to do something different. I got my own 3. I got 2 over there. I got 1 in Florida. And a couple over my handful. I'm not going to say which ones. But they're not male. But I pour into them like I pour into everyone else. Because we got to be about the business of doing the work of the Lord. Colossians 1st chapter, 10 through 11 says this, that you might walk worthy of the Lord unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of God, strengthened with all might, according to his glorious power, unto all patience and long-suffering with joyfulness. But let me read 12. And then it says, giving thanks unto the Father, which has made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light. Understand, when you're pouring into someone else, when you're blessing someone else, you have a blessing coming as well. You're counted as being light unto the world, because you're called to be salt and light. But some of us got a dim bulb. Some of us have a dim bulb. It blew out a long time ago. And we're stumbling around in the dark thinking we know what. It's like walking into your house with the lights on, and you think you know where everything's at until you do this. Oh, sorry. I didn't know that was it. That's where we are at times. That's where we are at times. But we got to change our bulb if it's gone. We got to put in a burning light if it's dim. But we've got to get out of ourselves and get into someone else, so therefore we can pour into someone else and make them better and bear fruit. So as the clock winds down, I'm going to ask now that we be better than we were before. That we be better than we were yesterday. That we be better than we've been today. And that when tomorrow comes, September 17th, that we be better on the 18th than we were on the 17th. And let each day be better in our lives as we reach out to others. Because it is that important. The work of the ministry has to continue to go forward. But it's only going to go forward if we're willing to push it forward. Whether you have to push it, drag it, tow it, it has to go forward. I applaud all my brothers and sisters in this house who are doing just that. Because I know who you are. And for those who are not, I suggest you get with them. And for those who are doing it, I suggest that you grab someone by the hand and bring them with you. Because it's that important. Like I said, this was not a word where you're going to jump and shout and scream and dance around the house. That's not what I do. There are times to preach, there are times to teach. Because Jesus didn't go everywhere shouting. Sometimes he said it in a soft, quiet voice so you could hear him better. Because when I talk like this, you may just hear me more than talking like that. But this is a call to arms. And if you're not making a deposit, don't expect a return. If you're not pouring into someone's life, then you're emptying someone's life. I remember growing up, I'm not going to tell my age because then, probably try to put a year to it. But I remember it used to be on the side of the bottles, deposit, 25 cents. And after the bottle was empty, you take it back to the store, they would give you money for bringing that bottle back, that jug back. So when you put something in, you got something back. And I want to say to you, don't worry about what you're going to get back. The Bible tells us that what you do in secret, Holy Father's going to bless you openly. It's not about somebody patting you on the back. It's about what you do for the glory of God. As we rest on our feet,